Hello again, my friends and future funeral professionals. Welcome back to another episode of Megan's Study Guide to the NBE. I am your host, Megan Opachensky, and for this episode, we are going to be tackling, only because I've been gone for a month, and I want y'all to start having some study material that'll benefit you. We are going to tackle a massive Quizlet, because you know how much I love those, that I found that covers a lot of RA that you should know, all right? Most of it is going to sound pretty familiar, and that's good. It covers, I think this one is mostly RA. It doesn't specify in the title, but it covers a lot of good stuff, all right? So, as always, I will credit the author in my notes. The author, it's not even a name. It's KLMDEEB5808. And the title is just NBE Science. So I will go ahead and provide the link, and that way you guys can read it, look at it, test it yourself. I looked over all the answers and they check out. I obviously am not going to do all 1,089 because that would be madness, but we're going to go over the ones as I scroll that are important and I feel you should know. So without further ado, I'm going to try and, start limiting how long my intros are, because I know some of y'all just listen to these on repeat, and you shouldn't have to listen to an epically long opening. My last episode, I just really needed to update you guys on what's going on. So we're just going to jump in, and from now on, I will put all my stuff at the end. Is that fair? Sound good? So stay tuned, or don't. At the end of this episode, I will go ahead and do what I consider an outro, where I give you my discount code to DEAD, blah 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 blah. So, enjoy listening. All right. Thank you, and here we go. All right. So diving in, the lower jaw is commonly called the mandible, and while we're at that, I'm going to add my own. The upper is the maxilla. So upper, maxilla, lower, mandible. All right. They might throw in something about it. They like to do scenario-based questions. So you need to know that and be able to apply it. Like, hey, if you're using a needle injector, where are you going to inject? And it maxilla, mandible. You get what I mean? So you need to be able to apply that. All right. According to the canon of beauty, the length of the head is divided, and this is so, I know I said this before because we've covered measurements of the face, kind of. This is really key to your NBE studies, so please commit this to memory. Anytime you hear any measurements, lines of closure, those are very important, all right? You need to, and I told you in the last, there was another episode where I said you can use your own face to double check your answer. It's kind of like a little life hack there. They can't tell you not to measure your own face. So if you get any of those, how many eyes is your mouth? How many eyes wide is the mouth? Measure your own freaking eye to your, all right. So anyway, getting off topic. I'm trying to help and I get in my own way. All right. According to the canon of beauty, the length of the head is divided into halves by what? That would be the line of eye closure, all right? So imagine, those diagrams where they cut the face. That's what it's transverse. That's what they're talking about. All right. The facial marking, which is classified as natural. Now, we are definitely going to repeat a lot of these because these are so important. And I know they get kind of complicated, especially when they use, not mouth or not nose, but, they use the proper terminology. So we need to make sure you freaking know what is a natural marking and you get me. I went over how important that was in another episode. I cannot stress enough how often that is going to plague you. If you struggle with that, you need to make sure you don't anymore. All right, so going back, the facial marking, which is classified as natural, what they're going to do here is they're going to give you a list, right? So obviously I don't have that. It's Quizlet. You are going to look for labiomental sulcus. However, it is important, like I said, to go over your natural versus acquired facial markings. I had to think of the word. I knew it wasn't unnatural. All right, not looking at the contents. I got to just use my noodle. So labiomental sulcus is a natural facial marking, right? You don't acquire it with age or life. All right. The transverse dipping furrows of the anterior neck. Plasmatal sulci. Now, if I mispronounce any of this stuff, y'all got to give me a break. I think I'm going to do okay, but it's been a while. So that one was easy, but I remember now why I dreaded doing some of these. They get tiresome. All right. And again, I'll repeat that. The transverse dipping furrows of the anterior neck. Again, important to remember what anterior, posterior, superior, etc. mean. Plasmatal sulci. Platyysmal, right? Okay. The distance across base of nose, I hate when they abbreviate so much, is approximately the width of how many eyes? Now, this is what I'm telling you. You have a cheat sheet on your body because these apply to you. Like, you're no different than what they're talking about. So what are you going to do? The distance across base of nose is approximately the width of how many eyes? It says eye or eyes. What are you going to do? Like, just to make sure you get it right, because it's not worth, it is, unless you know it, like absolutely one. Unless you can do that, like, I want you to look like a dork because you're separated. Like, I don't know about your testing center, but I think most of them, you're separated and you're in a little cubicle spot. Nobody's going to see you do it except for the camera, and they're going to just look at you like, okay, you're not doing anything wrong. You are going to sit there, and I want you to figure that out. Use your own face, because your face still applies to this theory, right? Why wouldn't it? The answer is 1. The base of your nose is the width of one eye, all right? But don't be afraid to double check. Like, it's not worth risking getting a question freaking wrong, is it? Like, you would rather know you've got that, right? Because that could be the difference between 74 and 75. You never know. Don't be afraid to use the tools that whatever gave you. I don't want to offend anybody by saying a certain religion, okay? But you get me. All right. Again, distance across, this is really important. The distance across the base of your nose is approximately the width of blank eye or eyes. It is 1, okay? All right. What are acceptable corrective treatments? Oh, this is so important. Super important. I'm going to try and remember to do that. This is so freaking important, guys. And they will approach it different ways. So the ways I'm going to list on this Quizlet might not even be, they might only use 1, okay? But all of these are important to remember how to treat it. They could use, hey, here's a list of them, pick which ones apply. They could just use 1. So, like, what is a way? Or what are the acceptable ways, okay? So this one is doing the what are, so multiple acceptable corrective treatments for protruding eyes. So eyes that have, like, started to bulge out. Such a pain in the butt. Bless your heart if you have, like, ugh. All right. They are giving you external pressure, but make sure you are careful in real life application, guys. I know we're studying for the test, but, like, also I like to give my own experience in case my listeners who are apprentices and they're doing their 13 embalmings and they don't know what the heck they're doing yet, I like to add that in. All right. External pressure, aspiration of the cranial vault. Now that is an NBE thing. All right. Like, that is absolutely like how they will approach that. You're going to look at it and go, huh? It's like not something you would normally go to. And here is a really important one. Surgical reduction of fatty tissue. Now, they might also list tools. So use your knowledge of certain tools that they go over it in your embalming book. Can't think of them off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. But they might do that. But that definitely is an important, what I just read I'm going to do it again because I've been talking. This is very important. What are acceptable corrective treatments for protruding eyes? Now remember, like in real life practice, you want to make sure that you moisturize them before you do anything because eyes love to just turn colors and it is a freaking nightmare to fix. So external pressure, aspiration of the cranial vault, and surgical reduction of fatty tissue. All right. Okay, moving on. Hypodermic injection of tissue builder is usually done when? Now they're going to ask you before, during, or after embalming. Hypodermic wow, I can't say that. Hypodermic injection of tissue builder is usually done when? You do that after embalming, okay? Never do that any other time. You need to do it after. And in this case, it's totally safe to know how you would do it in real life. Like normally NBE, you're not supposed, you kind of have to separate real life from textbooks, but that absolutely will help you. Like you would never want to do that before. Hypodermic injection of tissue builder is to fill in what you could not make look natural through arterial embalming, etc. So after embalming. Also on that note, you need to know your, how do I put this? When you take out, like, let's just say medical devices like catheters, IVs, drains, etc. You need to, it's in your embalming textbook. I'm telling you that right now because I'm seeing it in my mind's eye. I can see the page and they give you a list of the devices and when you take it out. You need to know that, reference that, put a bookmark on it, and remember this comment because, like I said, I can't even read it to you because I don't own the material, but you do. Make sure you know because they're gonna freaking ask you, and they're tricky. You gotta know. Just like it's common sense for like the pacemaker comes out before you put somebody in a crematorium. Like you might get one of those, but they're not that nice. Like most of them are like, oh my gosh. So just be prepared, okay? Not trying to scare you, just trying to make sure you know that section is important to remember. It's pretty easy. I mean, most of it's common sense, I think. All right. The distance, here we go, another one. The distance from the base of the nose to the base of the chin is approximately equal to the distance from the base of the nose to what? You can use your face, right? It is your eyebrow. Again, don't be afraid to use the tools that you have at hand. They cannot tell you to not touch your own face. So the distance from the base of the nose to the base of the chin. And you know what? When a funny story. When I took my finals for RA, the freaking because I did it online, the freaking proctor actually yelled at me and stopped my exam because they thought I was like signaling to someone when I was literally just measuring my face. And I had to explain to this person that has no clue what the heck, nothing about mortuary science, none, no background, what I was doing. And they swore I was cheating and they threatened to like tell my teacher. I said, go for it. I would love for you to do that, but you better not penalize me for this exam. And ultimately I read the question to them and I said, all I'm doing is checking with my own face. And they laughed and we moved on. But I just thought that was so funny. It was like, they thought I was like signaling to someone. I'm like, guys, I had to do like the room check. I'm like, there's nobody looking at me, I swear. All right. So again, distance from the base of the nose to the base of the chin is approximately equal to the distance from the base of the nose to your eyebrow. All right. Sorry. I just like to, I don't want to sound like a robot. I know how easy it is to kind of shut off. So I try to add my own flavor, if you will. All right. Another name for the occipital frontalis muscle is the epicranius. Another name for the occipital frontalis muscle. I hate the muscles. They confuse me. I am going to fully admit, bless you, bless your heart. Like you're not alone if you feel overwhelmed by muscles, you are not alone. Epicranius. All right. I don't have any tricks there. It just is what it is. A prognathous, a prognathism, which is the projection of the upper jaw. Now, we're like kind of talking like your top teeth kind of like project. That's a prognathism. All right, that is a maxillary prognathism. So when your top teeth point, like think about it, picture that, like what's that called? An overbite? That's a maxillary prognathism because it's the top part of your mouth. That makes it a little easier. So just picture that. Okay. Another name for, here's a head shape. So we're going to make that a highlight, okay? Another name for the square geometric head shape. Strong. Don't ask me why, just is. Square geometric head shape is strong. All right, I'm trying to think of one, and I'm not thinking of anything to add. What are considerations for the restoration following a penetrating wound? And this is a great scenario example, guys. You know how I tried to say they do scenarios, they do concepts. This is that is a perfectly written example. What are considerations for the restoration following a penetrating wound? That is how they'll ask it. I'm not saying that's a question, okay? I'm saying that is how they are going to ask something, right? It's really well written for this. All right, you are going to apply wax to the surface. Then you are going to use filler to prevent leakage, right? Then, okay, and then it said, and embalming should be done with a very strong preservative, so AKA high index. That's bad wording on their part. Strong preservative, I'm not a fan of. They are likely going to say high index fluid. They're going to do something like that. So considerations for following restoration for a penetrating wound: apply wax to surface, use filler to prevent leakage, embalming should be done with a strong preservative. I say that they're probably going to do high index fluid just based on this question because you've already filled it, so there would be no reason to use like a powder preservative. It would only make sense to do an arterial embalming after that. So hence my little tidbit there. Here's something also extremely important, guys. Like I said, know your color wheel, know your color theory. I know it sounds very elementary, but it's very important. The color scheme of pigmentation, which uses 2 complementary colors only, though this may include tints and shades. That is the complementary color scheme. Now, in this case, you are able to literally take complementary out of the question and apply it to the answer, all right? Assuming that I can't see how they would do complementary in any other way. So making it a little easier on yourself, color scheme of pigmentation, which uses 2 complementary colors only, complementary color scheme. Just keep it simple, stupid, right? I hate that saying. That was big in high school, but fits there, I guess. I guess it fits with some of the stuff I go over. I'm not a fan of that. It always made me feel stupid because it wasn't simple for me. All right, here's another head shape, okay? So we're going to mark this off as also most of this is important though, so I found a good Quizlet. Another name used for egg-shaped geometric head shape. So an egg head shape. That is an oval. Easy peasy. So an egg head shape, oval. The skin is composed of how many layers? Says 3. Remember, epidermis, etc., etc. All right, the bony landmark, which marks the measurement. This is gonna, no, it can't say that. This is important. The bony landmark, which marks the measurement of the widest part of the human face. That is the zygomatic arches, or those are the zygomatic arches. I'm gonna freaking repeat that. So you if you didn't get my hint there, you're gonna get it now. It's really important. The bony landmark, which marks the measurement of the widest part of the human face. I can freaking promise you this is important. Zygomatic arches. It's plagued my mortuary school. Oh my God. That was on like every test. All right. Now I know why. The color scheme of pigmentation using 2 adjacent hues plus their respective complements. Double complementary scheme. All right, so much like the other one that we just talked about, this one, we're using two adjacent, so that means together, like next to each other, right? Adjacent hues plus their respective complements. The plus right there, you got to read these questions, right? The questions can trick you up. If you read it, it's not just ignore that two adjacent hues. You're looking at hues plus another thing. That, I believe, would make it double complementary. If I had to think of how to remember it, you're looking at, you get what I mean? I'm trying to make it easier for you to remember, and I might not be. The color scheme of pigmentation using two adjacent hues plus is the key word here, their respective complements. That makes it a double complementary color scheme. I'm trying to simplify it for the exam. I hope I helped. All right. Primary colors of the subtractive method of illumination. I hate these so much. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Primary colors of the subtractive method of illumination. You are looking for yellow, magenta, and blue-green. So you're not looking for the primary colors. This is not the same thing, all right? So primary colors, subtractive method of illumination, yellow, magenta, and blue-green. And blue-green is in together, not comma, okay? All right. The following muscles are part of the quadratus labii superioris. Yes, got it. Oh, this is worse. Levator labii superioris, zygomaticus, zygomaticus, there we go, minor, levator labii superioris, aliquae nasi. Yes, you have no idea how proud I am. We're going to repeat that. The following muscles are part of the quadratus labii superioris. That is the levator labii superioris, the zygomaticus minor, and the levator labii superioris aliquae nasi. If you can remember that, bless your heart. Otherwise, focus on remembering the other stuff that you really do know. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like some of these are really confusing. Make sure you have a solid foundation in some, like if you're not comfortable with that stuff, don't stress it. I wasn't good at muscles, and I can tell you if you aren't confident in that, I'm not saying don't try to be. Don't stress it too much. Just have a solid understanding of the rest. You get what I mean? All right, because some of us, again, muscles were not my fave. I'm not good. All right. The least common form of facial profiles. Very important to remember. The least common form of facial profiles. That is concave. All right. They might phrase that a little differently. Least common facial profile is the concave one. All right. As applies to color theory, the lightness or darkness of a color refers to the what? That is the value, and I do want you to remember that. I'm trying not to say that with everything because I thought we'd be skipping a lot. This is a really good study guide. All right, so applies to color theory, lightness or darkness of a color is the value, okay? But if you read your RA book, I feel like you got that. All right. The tendinous cords connecting to the atrioventricular valves of the heart to the papillary muscles. Chordae tendineae. I feel like I'm casting a spell in like Harry Potter. Chordae and then tendineae. Okay? So we're going to get into some pathology, it seems. All right. Characteristics of the lymphatic system. This is involved with the immunological activity. This is the answer. Involved with the immunological activity of the body. Filters out foreign matter in the lymph. Returns escaped protein into the bloodstream. You're going to want to remember the other part more. If you can keep that, then you'll know which, like, I promise you, there will be, of course, you're going to have your 4 answers. I always say one's really easy. The other is there's usually 2 you can knock right out. And then there's 2 that are like, ooh. As far as the lymphatic system goes, I really want you to remember that its primary purpose, immunological activity of the body, and filters out foreign matter in the lymph. Okay? The returns escape protein into the bloodstream. I don't know. I honestly haven't. I can't say. So frustrating. I don't think you have to worry about that part. But remember the immunological part and filters the lymph. Okay? What are the branches of the internal iliac arteries? That would include the following: superior vesicular arteries, superior gluteal arteries, and the inferior gluteal arteries. I don't have any way to make that easier. So sorry. So we're just going to repeat it. Branches of the internal iliac arteries include superior vesicular arteries, superior gluteal arteries, and the inferior gluteal arteries. All right, I love this one. This is one of my favorites. I don't know why. The quote-unquote moth-shaped bone forming a portion of the floor of the cranial cavity. Now, they also might refer to it as like a shark fin or a triangle. I was an autopsy tech for a while, and I got to tell you, they really do. They're really cool looking. Sphenoid bone. They are referred to, like I said, they're calling it moth-shaped. That's freaking weird to me, but okie dokie. It's more, I would believe that you're going to see triangular or shark fin, because that's what it looked like. Fun fact, when someone drowns, when you remove the brain and it goes through that. So cool way to remember the sphenoid bone. All right. The major muscle of respiration. That is your diaphragm. That's why when you cough and you feel that and your tummy starts to hurt because it's like, oh, I've been coughing all day and it hurts. It's your diaphragm. Major muscle of respiration is your diaphragm. That's also why they tell you when you're trying to learn how to sing, they say sing from your diaphragm and, bottom of your lungs. There you go. So if it helps to remember, think about singing and how you're supposed to project by singing from the bottom of your lungs, aka use your diaphragm. All right. Crud. Okay, there we go. All right. Most extrinsic muscles of the eyeball are innervated by the oculomotor nerve. Intrinsic muscles of the eye, oculomotor nerve. Don't think that's going to be a problem, honestly. All right. The gonadal arteries are branches of the abdominal aorta. It is exactly what you think when you hear gonad, all right? So, abdominal aorta. If a piece of muscle tissue has fibers which are branching and wow, that's a word I don't recognize, anastomosing in a continuous network, which kind would it be? Cardiac muscle. All right. I don't have anything to make that easier. The ileocolic artery provides some of the blood, not all, some of the blood supply to part of the small intestine, the appendix, which is why you get appendicitis, because even though we don't use it, we still supply blood to it, and the cecum. Now, you should be familiar with what the different parts of your stomach are called and the different parts of your intestinal tract are called. So the cecum should click, all right? So the ileocolic artery and just remember colic. I find that to be the easiest thing to remember with that. The ileocolic artery provides some of the blood supply to small intestine, the appendix, and the cecum. All right, the longest anatomical unit of the alimentary canal is the ileum. And like I said, if you've been studying what we just talked about, you know exactly what that is. All right, veins below the level of the heart Veins below the level of the heart have valves in them, just like the arteries do, all right? Don't think you need to worry too much about that. What are examples of paired bone sets in the face? This is important. They might ask you what is one. Like they might not ask for multiple like this is. They might ask for only one as an example. So make sure you know these, all right? So examples of paired bone sets in your face. That is the maxilla, zygomatic bone. Zygomatic bone is like pretty staple in your NBE. You want to be best friends with that. And your nasal bone, all right? And here we go. Also, like I just said, your stomach and your digestive tract, you want to know the regions. You also want to know your heart, okay? The thick middle layer of the heart wall is called what? The myocardium. But you want to know the layers, okay? They do tend to, it's not worth losing a point. And there's only so much. It's not a lot. And I say that with a very overwhelming exam, and just look it over. I'm sure you'll remember. I believe in you. All right. The superior border of, quote unquote, Scarpa's triangle. Now that might be something to think about. It might pop up. That is an inguinal ligament. All right. The veins from the organs of digestion drain into what? This one's easy. I find it fun. The portal vein. So if you see a portal, there you go. The vessel which originates on the lateral side of the hand and terminates by becoming a tributary to the superior portion of the axillary vein is the cephalic vein. I think I said that right. C as in cat, E-P-H-A-L-I, C as in cat, vein. Cephalic vein, I think. All right. The second branch of the aortic arch. You need to know your heart. Okay. Left common carotid. That goes under embalming, I think. I think your embalming textbook might go over that stuff. All right. The vertebral column consists of 5 regions. From superior to inferior, the number of bones originally in each section prior to the fusion of some. Because as you learned, your bones will fuse with age. So that's what they mean. So when you see anything referring to fusion, they are referring to the change in the number of bones throughout aging processes. All right. Vertebral column consists of 5 regions. From superior to inferior, the number of bones originally, so they're meaning from birth, in each section, prior to the fusion of some. So that means, in my opinion, from birth. That is going to be 7, 12, 5, 5, 4. Okay? The structure leading from the urinary bladder to the outside is the urethra. I feel like that's pretty easy for us to remember, especially if you have a cat and they've got UTIs all the time, or if you're a woman and you get UTIs all the time, like me, you got that one in the bag. All right. The medial artery of the forearm between the elbow and the wrist. Now, these are really important to remember. Your arteries and your veins, the questions they ask about that, like in these study guides, you really want to remember that. Ulnar artery. Now, for some reason, I always was able to remember ulnar because of my elbow. I do not know why. Just if you see elbow and between elbow and wrist, ulnar. All right. I don't know why. I can't even tell you. I can't even remember why my brain made that association, but it's the ulnar artery. All right. The vein that receives venous blood directly from the cranial cavity. That is the internal jugular vein. All right. The separation of colloids from crystalloids by means of semipermeable membrane. That is dialysis. A saturated hydrocarbon. A hydrocarbon, then we're going on to chemistry, hydrocarbon that has no carbon-to-carbon multiple bonds. It was formerly called the paraffin or methane series. That is alkane, not alkyne, alkane. A-L-K-A-N-E. Polymers made up by linking together a number of similar but different small particles called amino acids are proteins. All right, letter capital C, lowercase a is the chemical symbol for what? I hope you know this. Calcium. Woo, I believed in you. All right, so capital CA is calcium. And you do need to know some of those. All right. When we employ mostly formaldehyde, I'm not going to lie to you. They love paraformaldehyde and formaldehyde. All right. When we employ compounds to prevent dehydration, we use what? What do we add that prevents dehydration when we embalm, guys? Humectants, right? Humectants make everything just so much better there. All right, hydrogen can be generated by reacting water with what? Sodium. Yeah, believe it or not, sodium. I loved learning chemistry, like in terms of embalming. It fascinated me. Alrighty, the basic unit of length in the metric system. If you get that question, just like thank whatever gods may be, because that's an easy point. Meter. And here we go. This is another one. They're going to want this. Examples of embalming humectants. Glycerol and sorbitol. Okay? Glycerol and sorbitol are the commonly used humectants in embalming. All right? Know that. All right. Examples of inert, quote, in parentheses, noble gases. That's going to include argon, neon, and helium. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Polymerization of formaldehyde. Oh my gosh. They love formaldehyde. Remember everything we go over with formaldehyde. All right. Polymerization of formaldehyde in an arterial solution is inhibited by what? Oh, sorry. By the addition of... Wow. Sorry. My brain just... Let's start over. Polymerization, don't judge me, of formaldehyde in an arterial solution is inhibited by the addition of what? Methanol. Okay? Sorry, that took me so long to spit out. All right, deanimation occurs when what is broken off the amino acid? That would be the amino group. That is important. You might see that. Or, you know what I mean, like something referring to that. The flow of solvent through a semi-permeable membrane with the solvent passing from a dilute to a more concentrated solution is, I love this word, osmosis. If you see flow of a flow through, I'm going to make this easy. If you see something that says flow through or passing through semi-permeable membrane from a dilute to more concentrated solution, it is osmosis. There is nothing else. Osmosis. That's it. Semi-permeable membrane, solid passing, dilute, more concentrated, osmosis. And I'm excited because that took me from like freaking 2006 high school chemistry until I went to mortuary school to finally nail through my head. So pardon me. Yes. All right. An organic compound that takes the general formula ROR, and that's with dashes, is said to be ether. And you're going to want to know that. Benzene is a carbocyclic. You want to know that. All right. Hydroxides change the color of red litmus to blue. This is why science stresses me out, because people ask me, like, how do I prepare? I'm like, science is such a toss-up with what you're going to get, because you could get chemistry mostly. You could get 2 questions about chemistry. It could be, they have directing in it. They have, it's crazy. So that's why during this set, you are seeing so many different sections, and no joke, that's science. It's not as easy as arts where we can go religion, directing, this is prep. You have to know the preparations. Oh my goodness. So I know we're jumping around a lot. It might not, it seems kind of nonsensical, but that's the point of this flashcard set. It goes over all the stuff you might need to know. All right. So I just wanted to remind y'all, this is not a set thing for anything. It is all inclusive. Just a refresher if you haven't heard it in a while. Maybe your teacher didn't go over it. Highlights. All right. Okay. If a solution is acid, what will its pH value be? All right. You should know the base to acid below 7. Anything below 7 is an acid, right? Okay. A pH value of 9 indicates that the solution contains an excess of what? Hydroxyl ions. An organic compound containing 2 aldehyde, in parentheses, negative or dash CHO, radicals. An example would include the preservative glutaraldehyde, normally found in some arterial fluids. That would be dialdehyde. You do need to know some of these, okay? Due to their actions as both acids and bases, amino acids are said to be amphoteric. What is an example of a mold inhibitor? Very important to remember because you might see it. This is a long freaking word, para-dichlorobenzene. And it is spelled exactly how I said it, okay? Benzene, sorry. Mold inhibitor. All right. Syneresis means drawing together contact. It says contract, it's contact. All right. I'm going to spell that word Syneresis. Syneresis means drawing together contact. An approach to infection control. This concept dictates that all human blood and certain bodily fluids are treated as if known to be infectious for HIV, HBV, or other blood-borne pathogens. You should know this. I think you do. Universal precautions. You need to know that because I can almost guarantee that they're going to quiz you on that one. All right. Assume you are preparing to embalm a normal body exhibiting the following conditions. The body has been dead less than 6 hours. There is no edema. There was no chemotherapy. Some livor mortis. Which of the following is a reasonable treatment for said body? Okay, so it's a long one. 3 to 5 gallons of preservative solution may be injected depending on upon body size. Make sure you read the answers thoroughly because they might have one that doesn't say that. And you know how important body size is in fluids, okay? Depending upon body size. There is no restriction on the selection of vessels for injection and drainage. Inject mild to moderate solutions. Pre-injection may be used. Again, make sure you look at wording because they may say pre-injection must be, something like that. You need to make sure you read your question thoroughly. So we're going to read over that again. 3 to 5 gallons of preservative, depending on body size. No restriction of the selection of vessels for the injection or drainage. You are to use mild to moderate solutions and pre-injection is optional. All right? Cool beans. The axillary artery terminates. Oh, this is so important. Like flag waving. Axillary artery terminates at the what? The lower border of the teres major muscles. That is absolutely, I can't say it. Can't say it. I've said enough. The presence of, got excited. All right. The presence or the reasonably anticipated presence of blood or other potentially infectious materials on an item or surface means what? That sucker is contaminated. All right. Which heart chamber receives oh gosh, this is a big flag. You need to know this one. Which heart chamber receives venous blood, or venous? I know some people say it that way, whatever. Don't come at me. Venous blood returning from all body parts except the lungs. And I can tell you that's so freaking close. You don't even know, or you do. That's one of those, like, if you know, you know. All right, which heart chamber receives venous blood returning from all parts of the body except the lungs? That is the right atrium. You freaking need to know that. Like, all right. To clear the hand and the fingers, an embalmer would select what artery as a secondary injection point? Now, remember earlier when we were talking about how to remember the name of what's between the elbow and the wrist. What was that? The ulnar, right? Well, that's what this is. To clear the hand and the fingers, an embalmer would select what artery as a secondary injection point? That is the ulnar. Now, remember, if you haven't already taken this exam and know this, you can flag something and you can go back. So flag this one if you're having trouble and go back, like when you're done, go back, find that question if you can't remember. And I mean, I'm telling you, it might, for me, sometimes that happens. It will click then. I'm like, oh, that's right. And you'll be able to answer both of those. Otherwise, you're getting two wrong because they asked you it twice in a different way. So there you go. I told you that one is important. I don't know why they love, and there's another ulnar too. All right, so coming up. Anyway, from the center of the anterior surface of the ankle joint to a point between the first and the second toes is the linear guide for which artery? That is the dorsalis pedis, pedis, a fluid used primarily to supplement and enhance the action of vascular, or in parentheses, arterial solutions. That is a co-injection fluid. Now just think, it's co-injection because it's supplementing, it's being added to, it's enhancing. Co-injection fluid, okay? All right. If one made an incision between the tendons of the flexor carpi ulnaris, answers in the question, ulnaris, and the flexor digitorum, which is, fingers, superficialis muscle, the person would be attempting to find which artery? The answer's in that. It's the ulnar. You got the carpi ulnaris. It's the ulnar, all right? Okay. A two-piece embalming instrument. Remember I told you got to know your instruments and the purposes, and and that's in your embalming book. Your embalming book gives you a really good diet. Like, they give you pictures of everything and they give you the definitions and the uses. Be familiar with those because that's important, and they absolutely freaking are going to ask you for at least a few, okay? And most of them, are pretty, you'll be able to go, oh, that's right, that's this. But some of them, like the different, like a lure hook, some of the cannulas can get a little meh. But for the most part, freshen up on it. I'm sure you'll do okay, but make sure you're familiar with your tools. A two-piece embalming instrument consisting of a handle and a blade that is used to make incisions and excisions. That is a scalpel. All right, assume that you are preparing to embalm a body exhibiting generalized edema. Which of the following is a reasonable treatment for said body? You are to start with a solution strength above normal. You will continue to increase. Start with a solution strength above normal, continue to increase. One advantage in the use of the common carotid arteries as points of injection in arterial embalming is They are close to the center of circulation. Keep it simple, friend. I don't want to do stupid. I don't like it. But keep it simple. I mean, that one is, carotid artery is closest to the center of circulation. That's why we like it. All right. In embalming, and I don't have my microphone, so I'm seriously just like yelling at my phone. So I apologize. My husband needed to take my microphone to work, and it's been interesting. All right. An embalming instrument that is used for blunt, and this is that is the language to look for. They're going to say blunt dissection in raising vessels, okay? So when you see a tool being referred to, and it says for blunt dissection and in raising vessels, it's all you need to see. And it says also contains no eye in its structure. That is an aneurysm hook. So I'll repeat the question, but you really only need, when you see blunt dissection, aneurysm hook. I swear. All right. An embalming instrument that is used for blunt dissection and in raising vessels. Contains no eye in its structure. That is an aneurysm hook. All right. The science of treating the body chemically so as to temporarily inhibit decomposition. This is so easy because the answer is again going to be in your question. Temporary preservation. Yes, that is a thing. All right. I am not a fan of these words. Don't judge me. Skatole, skatole, so I think skatole, I don't know. Indole, indole, cadaverine, I know that, and putrescine are amines. I apologize, like those words are not I actually have never said those out loud. I know them, don't know how to say them. So amines. All right, just be familiar with cadaverine and putrescine and amine, those being amines. All right. According to the glossary, this is why I tell everybody the glossaries are freaking important. The body of a deceased person, including cremated remains. What are they called? Okay, you know, human remains. Now, I also want to specify. Okay, I know that sometimes this can be a question. They may ask you what the proper way to refer to like somebody who's been cremated, what the remains are called. If you are still calling them cremains, you need to smack your mouth. Okay? They are always professionally, you are a professional now, to be referred to, and I hate sounds so pretentious. I know. You are always, from this point on, going to call them cremated remains. Okay? Can we agree? You are to never, ever again, from this point on, refer to them as cremains. That is so unprofessional. That can tell you, and in my opinion, when I'm on Facebook and I see these, and I'm not going to say it, these irritating wannabe mortician gurus on Facebook, TikTok, whatever the heck. And they're telling you all this information because they're making money off your freaking views, okay? They're not telling you anything freaking useful. They're going off of people who don't know the industry, okay? Don't freaking listen to them. And you know what? I'm sorry. When there's a really famous one, I'm not talking about Caitlyn. I actually have no problem with Caitlyn Doherty. I think that she's been a fabulous piece of not educate. Well, she's been great getting our industry to be more accepted. So I love Caitlyn for that. I know a lot of people don't, but she's fantastic. She has brought a different attitude to us as funeral professionals than we had before. But there are others that are popping up that I really don't believe should be saying the things they're saying. There's one, in fact, that isn't even a freaking licensed apprentice. Like she doesn't know anything, and she's telling people as if she goes by funeral director blank, and I'm like, are you serious? She's like full of it. Oh goodness. Anyway, but the second I heard that chick say, or that girl say, cremains, that's when I went and looked her up, and I found out that she has never been a licensed apprentice. Like, don't listen to these freaking TikTok stars and whatever, okay? Like, most of them are all lies. They're doing it so they get views, and people are fascinated by morbidity. Just ignore that crap. So with that being said, we are from the, like, can we agree, you and I as friends, like, we are going to only refer to them as they are to be referred to professionally as cremated remains, okay? Human remains, cremated remains, all right? That's my point. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. We're going to move on. But that's been driving me crazy because they're spreading this misinformation, and then people go to mortuary school. And honestly, while I was in mortuary school, we didn't learn that much about cremation. I personally sought out a course with Mike Nicodemus, who is fantastic, to learn about cremation. And furthermore, on that note, if you have not, I highly suggest getting a certification in it. It will help you with your NBE because there's a lot of cremation stuff on it, and I'm telling you, you would benefit. And you get a certification. If you work with a funeral home, they will likely pay for it too. So, and guess what? Mike Nicodemus, I got this from him. He went off about the cremains thing. I mean, I already had feelings, but like he put them into words. So a professional that teaches even did exactly what I did, went on for like 5-10 minutes about it. So cremated remains, no more cremains. Cremains are not a thing. And if I know you'll hear people say it, it is really unprofessional and you don't want to sound like that. So, all right, I'm going to repeat this. According to the glossary, the body of a deceased person, and please don't try to fight me either. Don't come at me and like message me and say, no, I know. You can go and fact check me. You will see. All right. According to the glossary, the body of a deceased person, including cremated remains, are referred to as human remains. All right. One example of a physical post-mortem change is what? Algor mortis. Now, I'm assuming that they're going to give you a list in this case. We just don't have that because I'm looking at, I'm to save time, I just look at the answer key at the bottom. So, algor mortis. Which of the following problems might an embalmer, and you're going to get a lot of those, which of the following problems might an embalmer encounter when embalming a body dead from acute myocardial infarction? Blood clots, anything heart, okay? You're going to get, I'm going to warn you, you're probably, like I said, they love their scenarios. You're likely going to get a lot of like that, which of the following problems, okay? All right. The time between exposure and active evidence of the disease. Now, if you've been sick, I'm sure you know this, which we all have been. Incubation period. All right, so easy peasy. Don't overthink it. All right, substances produced by body cells to combat foreign proteins introduced into the living body. Those are antibodies. A relative term describing one's ability to resist or overcome a harmful antigen, such as an infecting bacterium or virus. That is your immunity. Again, just use your common knowledge with that stuff. All right. I actually kind of like the pathology questions because a lot of them you can sit there and go, oh, just don't overthink it. Any infection that first weakens and then lowers the body resistance. That is a primary infection, okay? True fungi, you need to know your fungi and your bacteriums and be familiar, okay? True fungi that reproduce, and like the obligate, etc. You need to know those. True fungi, I can get through this, that reproduce by budding is which of the following? And the answer they're going with is yeasts. Yeasts are budding. What must obtain its material for energy generation from living material? Now there are, as you know, there's other ones like dead. Okay? So living material is a parasite. A parasite needs them to be living. It's a host. Okay? And they actually might even refer to it as a host. All right, an infection lasting a very long period of time is a chronic infection. Now, if it helps you remember, all right, I'll share myself. Like I have what's called systemic lupus. It's called SLE. The E word is really long and annoying, so systemic lupus. I have a chronic condition, okay? I've had it mostly my entire life. So in that case, we're going to just take an infection out, just something that lasts a long period of time, chronic, right? So hopefully that might help you remember that. Chronic infection, okay? When disease-producing organisms have gained entrance, are multiplying, and producing symptoms of the disease, that is officially when you have an infection, my friend. Womp womp. Septic sore throat is caused by what? And you'd be surprised. Well, I'm not, because strep is like a nightmare. Streptococcus pyogenes. Strep sucks, man. That stuff gets serious. So septic sore throat, streptococcus, or just strep. If you see strep, you know it's strep, right? An injection of a vaccine or a detoxified product which stimulates antibody formation. Artificially acquired active. A foreign protein that, when introduced into the body, excites the body cells to produce antibodies against it as, it is called a or an antigen, right? Antibody, antigen, the anti-word. A foreign protein that, when introduced into the body, excites the body cells to produce antibodies against it. It's an antigen. All right. The genus of the bacteria responsible for cholera. You might see that. So good to remember. Vibrio. V-I-B-R-I-O. Vibrio. I'm pretty sure it's Vibrio. Which of the following bacteria grow best at a relatively high temperature? Thermophilic bacteria. Now, personally, I remembered that because thermophilic I don't know why. I mean, me saying it, I'm hoping the connection just develops, but I don't know why that stuck. If it grows best at a high temperature, thermophilic. Maybe because philia to me, I'm not going to go there. I mean, I just realized why I made the connection, and it's kind of inappropriate, so I'm not going to go there. All right. An inherited immunity is called innate. Inherited immunity, innate. The best temperature to produce greatest bacterial growth, optimum. That's so easy, right? Best temperature, optimum temperature. You can just substitute the words. That actually might be better if you look at the answers and go, oh, optimum, and reread the sentence and sub that. Here is another Vibrio question. Which genus of bacteria can have a comma shape? Now, that is important. They are likely, when they ask about bacterias, they like to ask about the shapes, coil or, the rod, et cetera, et cetera. They want you to know there's different types of diseases that you've learned, or, stuff you've learned about and what shape they are. And, for funsies, you should look up what Ebola looks like. It's a hook. It's crazy. Not that you need that for this, but just side note. They all have their own shapes. It's fascinating. I love pathology. But just remember, I believe if you look at your pathology book, they go over the different ones that apply, and just take note of those. Which genus of bacteria can have a comma shape? Vibrio. Any organism that can utilize inorganic matter as food. That's what I was talking about. Obligate. This is an autotroph, okay? You want to make sure you know those. You need to know your bacteria shapes, et cetera, et cetera. Any organism that can utilize inorganic matter as food. Just like there's one that only uses organic, living, non-living, et cetera, et cetera. Autotroph. Inorganic, autotroph. Inorganic, autotroph. All right. Bacteria with a spherical shape is a cocci. So C-O-C-C-I. Need to know these. Just like the comma, just like the spiral. Okay. bacteria with a spherical shape, cockeye. Spherical shaped bacteria form. This is freaking important, and I bet money that you will know why soon. Or if you know, you know. Spherical shaped bacteria forming quote unquote grape-like clusters, and that is exactly how it's going to be presented to you. There's no other way to really ask it, okay? That's my point. It's like they can only say that so many ways for you to know what the heck they're talking about. Grape-like clusters, that's staph, okay? And staph even has coccus at the end, like staphylococcus. So if you remember, bacteria with a spherical shape is cockeye. So staphylococcus would obviously have some spherical shapes to it, but grouped together, right? Grape-like. What are grapes? They're round. So staphylococcus would be round and connected together like grapes, right? So I made that way more complicated, but maybe not. Staph, grape-like. Staph is grape-like. Staph is grape-like. Grape-like is staph. Cool beans. All right, so listen, we are at an hour and we have 989 more of these bad boys. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this and we're going to revisit it and I'll do another episode. How about that? That way, if you want to repeat them, you can repeat these and it's not going to be 4 freaking hours. So you guys have, instead of me re-recording an outro, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being awesome and understanding and patient, wonderful subscribers to my podcast. Remember to share with your friends and your colleagues or your fellow students, because I'm sure that they're in the same boat you are. Even that person that tries to act like they have it all together. That was me. I thought everybody else was doing so good. And I'm sitting here going, I have no idea what's going on. Just, reach out, share your resource. You never know who you're going to help. And it's just nice to help others. That's that is my whole point in doing this. I want to help as many people as I can. I'm not making money off of this. It's truly just me trying to quit the gatekeeping behind the NBE, make it just a little easier, a little less intimidating. And finally, somebody's going to tell you what the heck you need to study, as opposed to, you just need to be prepared, or, read your books. No, screw that. Here's what you need to know. This is what's important, blah, blah, blah. That's my goal. So help a friend, share that with them, make their lives ever so little easier. And as I said in my last podcast, I am considering, really truly considering putting together a study group for arts and another one for sciences. I'm aiming it more towards people who have taken it already, because again, I hate gatekeeping words, but that word, but it is, I do feel it's a little gatekeepy. If you want to join in and you haven't taken it yet, you are welcome. Just be aware that the people who have taken it, it's going to be a whole different tone and direction than someone who hasn't, because they're aware of the way that things are asked. And we cannot talk about the exam. That's very key. That's what I avoid. I cannot say, they're going to ask you this, exact wording. I can't do that. So when you have people who've already taken it, they're aware of how things are presented, how things are asked, and in their own mind, they're going to go, oh, wait, I had something like that. We don't even have to say it, So you might find it a little bit frustrating, but it could be really beneficial. So I just wanted to let you know ahead of time that that's more so what I'm gearing it to. If you've taken it once and you missed, it doesn't matter if it's a point, 5 points, I don't care. We don't need to know. But and the more the merrier. I'm doing this purely interest-based. If only one person wants to, I'm probably just going to do a one-on-one with them. Which, by the way, I do. Not free. That's a little more, but more intensive. But the study thing would be, and it would just be us getting together. Maybe somebody my goal is to just have people kind of, hey guys, I have a hard time remembering this. And there could be somebody who also did and came up with a phenomenal way to remember. just like I said with what I did with staff, like, hey, staff is grape like, that's my goal, is getting a bunch of people together, different minds, different things we came up with to remember. And, that isn't writing things down on freaking note cards like mad people, just ways to remember tricky stuff that's easy to forget. There is a lot, sciences especially, like, it makes my head spin. I'm not going to lie. I personally believe science is like way harder just because it's so much and you don't know what they're going to focus on. It's overwhelming. So if you're interested, like I said, the best way to get a hold of me is my Facebook. I know that's oh so professional, but it is Megan Opachensky. So Meghan, just like my title here on my podcast. The last name is OPO, C as in cat, ENSKY. I'm verified. I'm the only one. If you message me and I don't reply within a day, that means that you went to, like, Facebook's doing like this super filter. I don't know what else to say. It's not even spam anymore. My profile is completely public. I do not care what posts. Don't comment on a video because I don't always get up. Don't do that. Comment on a post and say, hey, I sent you a message. That's all you have to say. And I can click on your name and send you a message and your message pops up. So that personally is the best way to get a hold of me. I also want to repeat, I put my number into Buzzsprout, which is the host service, because it required me to. If you text me if I don't know you, I'm assuming it's like a scam, because I get a lot of those. Like, I don't know what else to say. Please don't call me. I've been getting phone calls at really weird hours, and I kind of draw the line there. I love being supportive. I love talking to you guys, but truthfully, I don't really talk on the phone a whole lot anyway, because like I'll be at work or maybe I'm recording something, and I've been really sick the past month. So I also kind of screen them, and if I don't know who the heck it is, first off, I'm assuming you're calling me about an extended car warranty and you're going to voicemail. I do not know how that's happening. I never signed up for that. Please, that is literally the worst way to get a hold of me. Do not do that. The texting is fine. Just please let me know who the heck you are. Like, don't just say hey, because like I said, I get those stupid, weird scam texts, and I assume that's what it is, and you're not going to get a reply. If you do the Buzzsprout fan mail, as I've been saying, that's awesome. Just please make sure you give me a way to email you. Put your email in your message, because otherwise Buzzsprout actually blocks it out. So, I'll get your message, but I cannot. I think their fan mail is mostly meant to just toot your horn, but they block out your information. I don't even see your whole name. So let me know who you are. Send me your email and what it is you need, whether it's the Taggart notes or you're interested in the study group, or if you have suggestions for the podcast, like, hey, look, I found this really good Quizlet, or hey, I found this whatever. I love that. Okay. Or if there's a topic that sciences is not done. I have so much to do for sciences. If there is something that you feel like, if you've taken the exam and you're like, oh, you need to cover this, I welcome it with open arms. Okay. So just don't get offended if that's not my next episode. I appreciate all input, all recommendations, and I usually go over it and see what content I can get. It's a whole process. So that's all I have to say about that. And please don't think I'm trying to sound like a jerk with that. It's just truly the phone call thing is not a good way to get a hold of me, because I think like most of us in 2024, we do that. Like I said, I had surgery 10/15. Today is 10/22. So literally day 7. This is the first time I've been able to actually get out of my bed, talk, and be happy. Got all those medications out of my system. I feel so much better. But, so if you've tried to get a hold of me in the past week, or the past month, really, I'm sorry. I've been a mess, and it's not fair to you, but that's why I'm trying to be transparent. That's why the first, y'all haven't seen anything since like the first, and then I did the autopsy and now this one. So I'm just trying to be open, and that way you guys know it's not me being forgetful or lazy or putting this on the back burner. I just really, it wasn't fair to you guys to listen to me like the whole time. So anyway, all right. With that being said, as always, if you have an exam coming up, you have my complete support. I'm really rooting for you. Good luck. Remember to study the content that I've told you. Read your, I know it's a lot, but refresh your embalming. Refresh that RA. Because honestly, I'm a firm believer that if you have a firm understanding of what's in those textbooks, that you need a 75. You don't need a 90. You don't need a 99. You don't need an 80. You need a 75. So get comfortable, be confident in what you can know. And that is what they've got in that embalming book, what they've got in your, I mean, if you're not, like I said, if you're not good at muscles, you're not good at muscles. Make sure you're good at the other stuff. Don't stress yourself, okay? Try to find some tricks. Like, actually, Professor Darian Kane did a phenomenal job making an episode on kind of like tips and tricks on how to do the NBE. I haven't published it yet because, again, she sent that with the infant embalming, and I've been really sick. So I have my own I want to add to it. She's going to give you one from an educator point of view. I'm going to give you from somebody who just does not care and will tell you as it is point of view. So you kind of get both. But that's coming up. But just relax and go in. Be confident. Do not let these people get into your head because that is how they win. Do not stress it. Try to get a good night's sleep. You know, don't be like me. I was so stressed out. I threw up my breakfast in the parking lot like a dork. I cried. Ugh, it was bad. I want you to go in and laugh at how easy it is. I want you to sit there and click through the first 80 questions and go, oh my gosh, this is it. This is all. That's my goal. So let's get you comfortable with your terminology. Go over the glossaries. Listen to those suckers. And you know what? Well, we got this, right? We're going to do it. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And like I said, there's still almost 1,000 left. So I'm going to do these in segments. So I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, weekend, whatever you're looking at. I hope that you do well on your exam, like I said, if you have one coming up. If not, I look forward to our next episode together. Hope you tune in. Like I said, share with your friends. Thank you for everything, and I really can't stress enough. Thank you so much for being so supportive. You all are absolutely wonderful, and especially those of you who know me from the NBE group. After everything I've gone through the past month, it really meant a lot to open up my Facebook and see that I've been tagged into such a wonderful review that, well, I was not expecting that, and to see people really appreciative of what I'm doing, and it kind of revived this, made me really want to start up again. So truthfully, like, I'm talking to myself here. Mostly I just pretend I'm talking to my cat. He's always, like, I have two and they're always right there. As some of you may know, he, like Rory Borealis, likes to wish y'all luck. He was talking, but he left when I started talking. So anyway, I mean, I just love knowing that you guys appreciate it. So otherwise I'm like, does anybody hear me? Am I talking into the void? So anyway, thank you guys for being patient. And like I said, sorry about October. Let's do this and dive back in, okay? So I'll see you soon and take care. Thank you again. Goodbye.